On this week's episode of Bayou Wild TV.
Graine A Voler is a French word that means seed to fly. And what the real name is a lotus plant. These plants are harvested a lot in China, really big. They actually farm them. But I've been eating these things, and my Cajun heritage, I've been eating them all my life.
Coming up next, the geisha girl, Martha Spencer, and I tell you what happens when the American lotus meets the Cajun crappie psychic.
Well, they're very easy to see. The flowers give it away. But you're looking for the big pads before it starts flowering. And you want fresh water. Normally in the marsh, they grow extremely well.
Closed captioning made possible by Explore Kayak Adventure Company. Fishing, sightseeing to photography tours, everything to make your paddling adventure happen. See Explore Kayak Adventure Company on Facebook and Instagram.
Every day, we strive to preserve traditions that have spanned generations.
Around every turn of the bayou, Mother Nature reveals unique people, places, and experiences.
And the bounty of animals and fish. Well, in Louisiana, we just call that lagniappe. I'm Don Dubuque.
I'm Chris LeCoq.
I'm Captain Martha Spencer. Join us as we document the adventure,
Sportsmanship,
and heritage that make us Bayou Wild. Gaspagou, Sacalé, Shoepick, a lot of funny names for species in Louisiana. Here's another one, Granivole. That's what we're after today.
Graine A Voler is a French word that means seed to fly. And what the real name is a lotus plant. These plants are harvested a lot in China, really big. They actually farm them. But I've been eating these things, and my Cajun heritage, I've been eating them all my life. That's a pretty one. Most people, it's almost a celebration when the Granivoles are ready to pick. A lot of people go out, pick them. Some people pick sacks full and they sell them to other people who can no longer get out, the elderly, and they can't get out and pick them anymore, or people who just don't have the means to come out here and pick them. See how pretty that is? That is a perfect Granivole right there. That's what you want. Now I'm gonna get one that's a little, so we got one. Let's see what we got so far. We got one too young. We got a perfect one. We got one that's ready to seed and drop. We want to get one a little more ripe than this. Remember how I told you how to get a little bitter because the little plant in it gets too green?
Closed captioning is brought to you by Global Outdoors. Find your next adventure and share your experiences with others by downloading the Global Outdoors mobile app or visiting globaloutdoors.com.
At Parish Coffee, we wanted to create a coffee brand that people would love to drink every day. Our medium roasts are nice, bright, nutty coffees. Our dark roast coffees are smooth and rich. I think it's important for consumers to recognize that sometimes it's your neighbor that you're supporting. People can go to parishcoffee.com to find the entire selection of coffees.
Some things in life smell delicious. Others, not so much. Like a gas leak. Propane, for instance, is naturally odorless. That's why we add strong odorants to alert you if there is a leak. So if you ever smell gas, turn your system off at the tank and call your propane dealer immediately. Propane is a safe and exceptional fuel, and we want to keep it that way.
One of the reasons why Double D has been around for 50 years is because we are consistent with what built the business. And we go to great lengths to make sure that when you bring a deer or a hog or whatever it may be, your meat stays your meat all the way through the process. But we want to be as true to the original intent, which is a local meat company. And that's something that we want to maintain for as long as the Lord lets us do it.
Granivole is a French word that means seed to fly. And what the real name is a lotus plant. These plants are harvested a lot in China, really big. They actually farm them. But I've been eating these things, and my Cajun heritage, I've been eating them all my life.
Now, it's not just enough to find the Graine A Voler. You got to be able to read the ones that are right. This is too young to eat right here. This one's too old. These seeds are ready to germinate. These are the two that you can eat. This one's going to be a little bit harder and a little bit bitter, but this is the one you want. It's perfect.
Well, the first stage is when it's real young. The pod is just starting to develop, and you're gonna see just the tip of the seed. These are not good to eat yet. It's just starting to develop. The seeds are probably empty. Then your next stage, they're just starting to develop enough to where the plant inside the seed is not dark green, there's not a lot of bitterness in there, and they're really good to eat out here. So then the next stage is when they're getting a lot more ripe. You'll see the colors of the seed start to change. You'll see more of the seed as the seed gets bigger. And then the final stage is when it dries. Of course, the seed pods open up. A lot of them has fell out of here already. And it's hanging this way so the seeds seed to fly. That's how they, grow more plants.
It's like squeezing the tail out of a crawfish. Get the meat out.
Well, probably 2 weeks into June, you can start finding them. But I use July 4th as my peak. I normally don't even start till July because there's a lot more of them. And it'll go into a couple of weeks into August. But I've had friends of mine actually found a few good ones during teal season. Most of them have dropped by then, but you still can find 1 or 2 here and there. Most of your Asian markets will have them, and they'll have them already peeled, some of them dried, some of them roasted. So you can go buy them, and you just look for a local Asian market and they should have them. But they won't be called Granivoles, they'll be called lotus seeds, dried lotus seeds. And most people like to boil them, put them in a seafood boil, just like you would boil shrimp, crabs, crawfish, anything like that. And the seeds will pop open while they're boiling and absorb the flavor. Now that's the way a lot of people like them. But there's many different ways to cook them, prepare them. Personally, I like them raw when we're out here picking them. I love eating 3 or 4 pods full raw, which my son and my daughter, they also like them like that. But my favorite is pickled. You peel them and you pickle them, and it's seasoned pickle juice, and I like them on salads and your white beans. It's really good.
Coming up next, we take some Graine A Voler back to the kitchen and show you some mouth-watering recipes.
Delta Marina is Plaquemines Parish fishing one-stop. Get live bait, fuel, ice, tackle, and marine supplies. Then launch into the world's most productive saltwater fishing. Return to the fishing cleaning station, relax in first-class cabins overlooking the bayou, all in Delta Marina's safety video-monitored parking lot. Need a fishing charter guide? Delta Marina can hook you up. Cook your catch in your kitchenette or dine in the upstairs restaurant. Visit Delta Marina for a day or a week. Stop in just off Highway 11 down Rosemarie Drive in Empire. Visit thedeltamarina.com.
1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a non-profit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.
So earlier in the show, you saw us harvesting the Granivoles out in the pond. We're here in Raceland, of course, with Janelle Fulse. She's going to show us some different ways that you can actually cook not only the seed, but the stalk of the plant also.
You can eat almost the entire lotus pod plant.
Right.
I'm not going to discredit just boiling them, because if you go on the bayous, I mean, those boys down there, they can boil you some Granivole seeds like you would not believe. They're delicious, so I'm not even going to compete with that.
Okay.
But I will show you how to do some different, unique things with them today. Like, for one thing,
We harvested the stalk.
Look at this. It doesn't look too appetizing,
It looks
does
like
it?
rhubarb.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look too appetizing, but this thing is really easy to clean. Just use a potato peeler, get the peeling off, wash it really good, cut it up. After you cut it up, it sort of looks like this.
Like French fries.
And that's what we're making today,
Pretty
French
much.
fries. All we're going to do is we're going to batter them up. We're going to go dry, wet, dry. And the reason we do dry, wet, dry is just because you want that exterior dry to really cling onto the egg.
What are we using here for the batter? And
All
wash?
you're using here for the batter is my favorite fish fry, which is Louisiana fish fry. Now, I do have it cut a little bit for this particular recipe, because I have it cut with just plain all-purpose flour, because I want a little bit of a smoother texture to the batter,
Not so grainy.
but I want that amazing flavor of the Louisiana fish fry.
So what would you compare this to when people bite into it? Because you
When-
said there were some interesting things
Right.
about it.
When you bite into this right away, the first thing you see is, it's kind of stringy. It almost has like little hair textures. It reminds me of when you peel a stalk of celery.
Yes.
Okay. But the flavor, water chestnuts.
It has that crunch.
It
like a
has
water
that
chestnut.
crunch of a chestnut. It almost has like a little nutty flavor. And do some research on them. I've done research on them. There's so much to learn about this. It's a lot of health benefits, a lot of medicinal benefits to them. They're delicious.
And we have the stems of the plant here for an appetizer. They just finished battering them up. We're going to go ahead and fry them up. I like to get my oil at about 320 degrees, and they only take a couple of minutes, so it doesn't take long to fry them up at all. So I'll get them in there now.
So here's the finished product.
That's the finished product right here. If you want to go ahead and try one of those, they are absolutely delicious. If you see the stuff sitting in the center right there, that's actually a relish, Martha, that is made with the lotus pod seed.
Who knew that these flowers were so diverse? A lot you can do
They
them.
really, really are. So you've tasted the relish, you've tasted the fried stems. What do you think?
I wouldn't miss French fries if I had these.
I think,
Really?
yeah.
So we've got our appetizer. Now we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to show you some encrusted sakale with the Granivole.
Absolutely.
Here's how I guarantee my crawfish tastes great every time. I use Louisiana Fish Fry brand seafood boil. Why do the pros use Louisiana Fish Fry seafood boil?
Because the flavor is so good.
It has more garlic, onion, paprika, lemon, and not too much salt. It has much better flavor.
Louisiana Fish Fry brand seafood boil. Find the yellow bag and pour and boil for great crawfish every time.
In 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
So we've had our Granivole sticks and our relish, and now we're gonna have the main dish, which is some sac-a-lait. Tell us what you did with the Granivole seed here.
Okay, what I did with the seed here, Martha, is once the hard part was done, which was after it was harvested and peeling and all the bitter green was taken out, I roasted the seed with a Creole seasoning, which is a very simple process. You literally just shake it in a bag with a little bit of vegetable oil and whatever Creole seasoning you love. Now you need to roast it for about 10 minutes per side at 400 degrees. And when I say per side, pop it in at 400 degrees, take it out in 10 minutes, get a little spatula, flip over the seeds, do it again.
Like if you were roasting sunflower or pumpkin seeds.
You can go a little bit longer if you want, but at that point, you need to watch them because after that, they will burn quickly.
So what, when we put this in the grease, is different about cooking this versus regular fried
I'm glad
fish?
you asked that, because if you notice you're doing a double batter, you're doing the fish fry, you're doing the egg wash, then you're doing the Granivole seed. The Granivole seed burns quick. So you better have your grease ready to go, know your temperature, and it only takes about less than 3 minutes. I'd say about 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes, and at about 320 degrees.
Perfect.
So if you notice, some of the seeds in there are not as fine because you want to get it between a fine meal and a course, like right in between, because you want a little bit of crunch on there. But you know, I would honestly tell people, like, hey, when you bite into that, don't be alarmed, you might get a crunch.
Right.
That's the Granivole seed.
And you also said go lightly on the fish fry because you don't want it to overpower.
Because if you don't have something fit to stick to, it's going to come right off in the grease. So that is very important that you do that step right there.
All right, we're going to throw them in the grease and come back and eat them. We have an entire meal centered around the Granivole. Tell everybody what we've got plated up.
Okay, what we have plated up is we have a delicious seafood slaw, which has blackened shrimp. But if you notice on the top, you're going to have some roasted Creole Granivole seeds crushed on top.
Okay.
And right here, you have some Granivole seed roasted again on your sac-a-lait. So you have it crusted there on top.
And we had our sticks earlier. I'm not sure what to call them.
Well, we call them Granivole fries, French fries, whatever you want to call them.
And what are we garnishing our fish with?
It's just a mild white seafood sauce. And you don't want to overpower it because you want to really get the flavor of that Granivole. So you just want a little bit drizzle on there.
And of course,
perfect.
No meal is complete without dessert. Believe it or not, you can make, what is this called?
Swamp candy.
Looks like toffee or a praline. Let's give it a try.
It is amazing. And the longer you let it set, the softer it is. You know, so eat it quick. It's like a combination, almost like a soft, like a brittle or a praline.
That's awesome.
And it has the honey roasted Granivole seeds in it.
I never knew you could find so much in a pond. Thanks, Janelle.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, Martha. This was fun.
Pelican billboards can help you reach more people. With prime locations across the greater New Orleans area, they help grow the Bayou Wild brand, and they can help your brand too. Put your business above all the others with Pelican billboards. Want to be seen on a Bayou Wild episode? Sign up for our Cajun Invasion Wild Pheasant Hunt in the remote hills of South Dakota in mid-November. Bad River Bucks and Birds provides lodging, meals, transportation, dogs, and bird cleaning. Details at DonTheOutdoorsGuide.com.
Nice red, nice red. All right, isn't this great? South Louisiana at its finest, baby. Yeah. He's a good one, man. I bet he's about 8-10 pounds. All right. Now, it's a redfish. Look how pretty he is. Oh, he's probably about 7. Yeah. All right.
That's a pretty little red. Look at the spots on him. You'll forget you got stung by a catfish when you catch a beautiful redfish with a lot of freckles on it. We were fishing over in the grass, and I cast it into the grass by accident and then pulled my Berkeley gulp back into the bottom, and he ate it off the bottom. We're kind of a little bit protected here, so I think they like just swimming around in the grass, and it's a really pretty fish. It's almost got as many freckles as I do. So these large birds that somewhat resemble birds of prey that are sitting on these oyster poles, there's a ton of them over here. They're actually called frigates. And the reason they're on the poles and not floating in the water like you might see a seagull is they don't have enough natural oil on their feathers to actually be able to take off from the water. They essentially would die. So they're all posted up on these oyster poles here, but they're really tremendous birds because they can fly for weeks at a time. And you'll see them offshore a lot. They'll never actually land in the water, but if you throw a piece of bait out, you'll see them swoop down and get it. They're also the logo for the Invincible boat. They've got really cool aerodynamic tails and about a 3-foot wingspan. I think they're one of the coolest birds I've seen in Louisiana. Look how red he is. Oh, he's so pretty. Look at that fish. Where's Eric with his net? I got it. Oh, he's barely hooked. It hasn't exactly been a banner day out here in the marsh. We've been casting a lot. We switched up our baits from Berkeley Gulp to the everlasting Gold Spoon, which the redfish really can't seem to give up. And I saw this one tailing, threw it right to it, and sure enough, he ate.
You know, today they seem to be biting on some gulp, some Johnson Gold Spoons. A lot of them are being sight casted. We did catch a trout here there. Overall, it's a good day. The tide actually just started falling, so things should change up real good. And you can't ask for better than that. He's gonna make some good fillets. We're gonna eat him up.
I find sight fishing more satisfying when I catch a fish because I think it's harder.
Well, I personally think it's easier.
You have to be a really good, accurate cast, but I think putting a dead shrimp on a cork is easier.
That you're correct on that. I will give you that. When they're piled up against the bank on a windblown bank or something like that. But they got boats that are hundreds of thousands of dollars with all of these big giant towers and stuff that you can just go pick out your fish when you want.
We don't have towers in here.
No, we don't have towers in here, so it's a little bit different. We're more personal too.
Yeah, and you can sneak up on them with these too.
You can get wet in big boats.
That fish, we saw him, we pitched it to him, and he ate it. It was pretty cool.
Now kiss him before we put him in ice bag. There you go. You're supposed to do that when you let him go.
Bayou Wild TV was a creation of course, three people, myself, Chris Lecoq, who is our producer, editor, and co-host Martha Spencer, and each of us contributes something to it. And our logo, our slogan kind of says it all: sportsmanship, adventure, and heritage.
I love living in Louisiana because the whole Cajun culture is just based around being outside. People in Louisiana take pride in living off the land, and that goes back into family heritage, cooking, survival. With Bayou Wild, we've been able to not only do all these activities, but also see some of the history behind them.
Well, video gets more competitive every single day because everybody out there can take a video with their phone, they can use a GoPro. Video is becoming much more consumer and not professional anymore. So I'm always trying to challenge myself with thinking of different ways to set myself apart from just anybody else who can pick up a camera, shoot a video, and put it on YouTube.
Look, CCA Louisiana has been a sponsor of the Bayou Wild show, but mainly it's a partnership. Between Don, Martha, Chris, the whole team, they're great promoters of what we do because they believe in it. They're engaged, they know what they're doing, and they know how to get the message across.
There's a lot of fabulous chefs and cooks and home cooks in Louisiana that inspire me every single day. But the topics I speak about, the ingredients and the recipes, the stories I tell, come from people like Don Dubuque and all of those wonderful people I've met along the way. I didn't come up with them myself. You might want to take a piece of that.
Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
Whoa! Drive by. Whether it's been an excursion to another state or at home, it shows me why people like to come to Louisiana. The things that we do for fun are literally bucket list trips for other people.
And so I guess that's where I find my inspiration. I'm always trying to push myself further than I did before. So I'm always trying to maybe raise the bar for the story that I'm trying to tell through video.
But really what we're showcasing is the culture, the heritage, the people, and the resources of Louisiana and the Gulf Coast.